Hi friends, today I just wanted to cover my Notion setup. So Notion is a content management, database management, productivity tool, which I have been vouching for a lot. And the first rule of Notion is that when you hear about Notion, tell everyone about Notion. And Notion has actually changed my life in a lot of ways, in the sense that my life has become much more organized, much more structured, just because of the way the app is designed and just because of the way it allows you to build your productivity and your entire life setup from a very grassroots level. So the fundamental thing of Notion is the block system, which allows you to have text, add pages, add lists, bullet lists, toggle lists, to-do lists, calendars, so on and so forth, which you can drag and drop and change from one view to another very fluidly, which essentially adds to a lot of what Notion is all about. So I recommended Notion to a lot of my friends, and surprisingly, they actually took my advice for a change. And they started using Notion, and I started getting some great positive feedback about how Notion has helped them be more organized. And so, I told my friends how I use Notion, and a few of them were really interested in how I sort of use it, and therefore this video. And I think for Notion at least, I have converged on a very middle system of the para way, which is the projects, areas, resources, and archives way, and my own little productivity tool, productivity system, which is a journaling based task tracking, goal tracking, habit tracking system, which allows me to organize all of my contacts, my network, my journal, my tasks, my goals, habits, projects, and everything very, very efficiently. So therefore, this is what Notion is all about. So this is Life OS, which is a sort of pretentious name for my entire life as such. But Life OS is essentially life operating system, and it essentially captures everything that I have been doing, my goals, habits, tasks, workflow, journal, and sort of like the main heads that I do take on. So yeah, let's dive right in. I have a few sections over here. I have my daily section, I have my life section, my college section, my work section, my documents, and some tidbits. The daily section is pretty much what I use Notion for, which is essentially journaling, my work progress journal, my goals and habits. So these are the things that I review on a day-to-day basis. The life section is more of an archive section wherein I, write statements about what I learned about myself. And the private stuff is, some stuff that I've just kept private for now. Bucket list is the stuff that I want to do, some adventure things that I want to go on. Travel is essentially where all I want to travel and things like that, and so on and so forth. But I'll go into each one of these in detail. But this is pretty much the setup over here. And obviously over here you see principles, vision, mission, values. So these are kind of like the big principles, the big ideas that govern my life and that I want to govern my life with. And I sort of tend to look at them on a weekly basis, and it's kind of interesting to just sort of keep it right in front of me and review them on a day-to-day or a weekly basis. So that's my own little system. The para system is essentially something that really struck me from Tiago Forte, who's the creator of Forte Labs, which is a productivity consulting firm. The para system essentially talks about you divide your content and everything that you do into 4 areas, which is projects, areas, resources, and archives. And the reason this division exists is because the content that you consume should be directly linked or proportional to the content that you produce. So Tiago Forte is all about actionability, and he wants you to use content to produce more content. And again, I'm using content as just like the buzzword, but I guess that's what it is, right? He wants you to produce more information and more stuff that is of more and more value to other people. And the way you can do that, and the way I have been able to do that very effectively, is by this para system. So the projects is essentially anything that is a project is basically a series of tasks linked to a goal with a deadline. So the classical definition is that a project is anything that involves more than one step. So that's a project. So there's a book, there's a video, a podcast, newsletter. All of these are projects that involve more than one step. So therefore, they are projects. Areas is essentially a sphere of activity with a standard to be maintained. So it's like, it doesn't have an end goal, it doesn't have a timeline, but it just has broad themes in life that you want to address. So like getting fitter, improving writing, speaking better, and creating a website and constantly adding value. That's like some spheres that I'm excited about. Resources are essentially your idea pools in which you put down everything that you consume on a day-to-day or a weekly basis, and that is useful for you to refer back at a later time. Things that you want to archive but haven't had the time to read right now, but which you would want to get to later, things like that. And archives is anything that is from the other three spheres. So projects that are completed, areas that you have transcended, or resources that you have consumed and you don't need anymore. So everything goes into archives. So this is like the classical my own system of productivity, and this is the recent system of productivity. So I guess with that, I'll just dive right in. Let me start with journal. So journal is, I use journal because it helps me live more deliberately as compared to living accidentally. And the reason I say deliberately is because every time I journal and every time I record thoughts, occurrences of the day, my key insights of the day, and so on and so forth, it sort of helps me track on a regular basis whether I'm living my life the way I want to and whether I'm gaining what I want to on a regular basis. And that is something that I find to be of great value. So I'll go into the daily, weekly journals, which is the public part of it. Some inspirational stuff, don't break the chain, the best time to start journaling was 10 years ago, the second best time is now. And I have journaled since January 1st, so because why not? So let's say January 22nd, so this is a real journal. What I did was I have these few sections. I have the date, the 3 words to describe my day, the highlights of the day, how I feel on that day, and the productivity of my day, and finally 1 word to describe that day. And the good thing about Notion is that it's very easy to add more pages, more stuff, and you can easily later go on and filter stuff, sort stuff by anything that you think is useful for you. So let's say if I want highlights contains all of these things, right? And if I want 1 word to contain these things. So it's very interesting the way you can evaluate your life, say after 3 months or 4 months, and see in which direction you're going. So let's say I want to create a new journal for the day, and this was just rough things. So let me just remove this. So I want to create a new journal. So let's say I have 3 words over here. I click open. I have this daily journal template. And now we're diving into the meat of the discussion. So this is my reflective and tracking tool. In my daily journal, what I have is 3 key documents: the work progress journal, my goals document, and my habits document. The work progress journal essentially allows me to keep track of ongoing tasks very efficiently. My goals document allows me to keep track of my goals on a quarterly system very efficiently. My habit system allows me to keep track of my habits that align with my goals on a day-to-day or a weekly basis. And having access to these using Notion's linked databases feature is something that I find really productive, because each time I create a new journal for the day, I can easily navigate to any of these and essentially track whether I'm on the right track or not. So as for the journal now, and I'll go into these into detail later, but as for the journal, I have 2 sections for my journal: the morning pages and the evening pages. And I did a lot of research thinking about how to structure my journal. Trust me, I spent like maybe 2 or 3 days thinking about the best form of journaling, from reading about Tim Ferriss to reading about productivity pros to literally all the people out there. And I kind of converged to a few things that I think really help me narrow down and distill my day. So the morning pages essentially consist of a few questions. 3 most important things, what will make today a great day, what am I grateful for, and any thoughts that come to me. And anything to address later can go into future questions, which is like, things that I want to pay attention to in the long term, but I don't have the mind share to think about them right now. So all of those things will go in future questions. Then there's a work progress journal also. I guess that's pretty much it. So it's like 3 most important things the moment I get up in the morning. What are the 3 most important things I want to cover? What will make today a great day? What am I grateful for? And so on and so forth. In the night, I just log the key events of the day. I log my key insights. And again, over here, I have a linked reference to the lessons document, which is again another page in Notion. And Notion allows you to cross-reference it over here. And that's great because I can easily go into the lessons document and actually create a lesson for something that I have truly internalized. But for like one-off lessons, like if my friend tells me, oh, this is a good habit to sort of keep in your day-to-day routine, that is not something that I've internalized fully. So I'll just sort of write down on a key insight, write it down as a key insight instead of making an entire concept note about it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Any questions, worries, or fears of the day, and how could today have been a better day? So let me go over here. This was like the first day of the semester, and I had 3 words to essentially describe my day, which is first day, acclimatizing, and meetup. Acclimatizing because I'm terribly jet lagged. I think I slept from 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. thinking that I would only get a 20-minute nap, and turns out it doesn't work that way. So yeah, I woke up at 10 p.m., decided that, I haven't sort of logged my day. So I started to log it. And yeah, I guess this is what I actually have on a day-to-day basis. Classes were the most important. Understanding everything was something that would make today a great day. And as for the evening pages, this is what happened. I spent some time with a few friends in the library for like 2 to 3 hours, so on and so forth. How could today have been a better day? But had I not had any jet lag. So that's pretty much it. Then I have this section called the quantifiable self, which is essentially that whether I have to ask myself whether my habits are in sync with my goals, and whether I am tracking and reviewing my habits on a day-to-day basis. And this is based off of something that I've talked about before, which is deliberate practice. Just the deliberate intent of tracking my habits over here and holding myself accountable really allows me to live my life deliberately rather than accidentally. And that's the entire philosophy of having this journal. So yeah, this is pretty much it as far as the journal goes. Now I'll come over to the work progress journal. As far as the work progress journal goes, as soon as I open it, I see that it's a live document. And again, I have a cross link over here to the daily weekly journals if I just want to go back. Over here, I have my deadlines first because, it's a series of ongoing tasks. So I need to have a clarity of what is coming next, what is due the week of, just so that I can tweak my working and my schedule and my goals accordingly. So I first have the calendar, then I have the semester that I'm in, which is Spring 20, and I see these are the classes that I have right now. Then I have my commitments, so I see these are the courses that I'm enrolled in right now, and these are the things that I'm also doing on the side. Then I have some today's important goals. Then I have weekly goals, which is essentially the goals that I paste over here after I copy them from my weekly journal, which is in the daily weekly journals. So over here, I have talked about the daily journal. I haven't talked about the weekly journal, which is that every week on a Sunday, I would just sit down and I would essentially talk about what I need to do for the week, what were the key insights from the previous week, and so on and so forth. So this is like a rough template of what I have for the weekly journal. I summarize my key lessons. I question myself, how do I want this week to be different? I list my weekly goals and priorities over here. I also monitor my weekly progress just by, writing down thoughts. And I just write on literally anything. And this is something that could be my newsletter. This is something that could be about a topic that I'm excited about. And it could be literally anything. But just having this template over here and not having to invest so much time in thinking about it is something that sort of really makes things easy for me. So yeah, this is pretty much it. But coming back to the work progress journal, I was talking about the semester, I was talking about the commitments, I was talking about the today's important goals, I talked about the weekly goals and the errands. Errands is essentially all the little tasks that you have to do but are not really goals per se. And it's like, dealing with administrative, bureaucratic stuff and things like that, which you have to do, but they're not really goals. So it's like you want to keep your errands list as empty as possible. So that's pretty much it for my work progress journal. Next, let's explore my goals and my habits journal. So as far as the goals journal goes, these are a few of my goals that I have. And the best part about Notion is how I can essentially link something to some project. So let's say if I want to start a YouTube channel and publish 10 videos, I have sort of done that because I think this is the 8th or the 9th video, and I'm pretty sure going by my pace of producing videos weekly, I should be able to do that. I'm able to link it to the video goal directly, and same with podcasts. And I guess that cross-referencing of one database or one page to another is something that's extremely valuable once you understand that at the end of the day, everything is really connected together. And I've sorted this thing over here by my status. So veganism is something that I'm exploring right now. I don't know if I'll jump onto the bandwagon or whether I'll not, but that's something that I have to do in quarter 2. In Q1, I have to learn the handstand, I have to summarize research papers. I think I've done a good job at getting off added sugar and caffeine at least. I'm learning the guitar by just playing it 15 minutes every day. And that's in fact another theme that I'll cover in one of the later videos, that how consistency is far more important than the intensity of practice. And just playing 15 minutes of the guitar every day has sort of helped me improve my skills, learn yoga, go to the gym, so on and so forth. And yeah, I guess that's pretty much it for my goals. As for my habits, so I read a lot about how to track habits. And one of the common themes was to track it on a day-to-day basis. I did that for some time, but then I found it cumbersome to sort of check the box every single day. So what I did was I created 3 categories: green, yellow, and red. Green essentially stands for those habits that I know I'm doing every day. Red essentially stands for those habits that I know I haven't really made any progress on, and yellow is somewhere in the middle. So it's like, as far as academics goes and reviewing course content, I still have to get into the habit of actually doing it because it's just the start of the semester. It'll be a good thing if I develop that habit right away. I have to read stuff from my Knowledge Hub. Knowledge Hub is just a pretentious name that I have for storing all the content that I consume on the internet, and which I would like to reference later. But it's just that, the classical quote that if your to-do list is extremely long, the probability that you'll actually complete it is very low. So it's like I have a lot of resources that I have to cover, that I have to get through on my Knowledge Hub, but I haven't really gotten through them. So that's why I have my deliberate practice daily journal in which I have all these habits, and on a weekly basis, these are the habits that I want to track. So like publishing a video, a podcast, writing the newsletter, and so on and so forth. I think a good piece of advice that I would like to share over here is that tracking my systems, things, and habits, tasks on a daily, weekly basis is something that is really effective for me, because on a day-to-day basis, I know what are the extremely tangible actionables that I have to do. And on a weekly basis, I can sort of step back, take a bird's eye view on what are the weekly things that I have to be careful about. And I think that's really useful. So yeah, that was my daily section. Then my life section, I don't think I need to go through this in depth. So let's say for future questions, right? One of the questions that I have is whether to do a PhD or a master's in the future. And this is something that I have to give thought to, but I haven't really got into thinking about it in depth. So that's something that I'll just think about later. So it's like any thought that comes to me that I want to address later, I'll just file it over here. And the philosophy of Notion and the way I am starting to use it in Tiago Forte's words, it's like to build a second brain. And that's really useful, because if all of these systems and workflows are existing out there, I don't have to invest any time in structuring things, and it becomes really easy for my brain to then navigate and specifically find out what exactly it is that is useful to me at this moment or at a later moment. And that is something that I'm not able to do, or I haven't been able to do with any other software apart from Notion. So I would say that's pretty much it. Then there are these boring things of taxes, medical, even a subscription tracker. Again, if you just go through Notion's templates and just do your own productivity research, you'll find that a lot of it is actually an integration of something that productivity pros have been espousing for a long time. And this is something that I've reached after quite a bit of research. So yeah, just feel free to go through it and sort of replicate it for yourself also. With that said, I wanted to cover the para system now. And I've explained what para is all about. Right now, I'll just show you how I use the para system to sort of keep track of my projects. So let's say getting fitter is one area that I'm looking at. So I have all of these. This is a fitness routine. I have my diet must-haves, some information about carbohydrates, some applications that I want to use on my phone, so on and so forth. And then I have these workouts. The way I divided my workouts was that I have my pages for exercises, and the category refers to the workout program that exercise is part of. And basically every day I would reference to the same exercise and literally open it and add my numbers, whatever they are over there. And that is something that I would do on a day-to-day basis, and this is just a template that I created. Same for barbell squats and barbell overhead press and so on and so forth. And essentially doing this helps me do my workouts more deliberately, and that is something that I find is extremely useful if I really want to get better at getting fitter over a certain period of time. And same goes for yoga sessions, Pilates, and the other kinds of workouts, and I guess that's pretty much it. Yeah, so that's for getting fitter. Then I have my improving writing, which is essentially, advice or things I found on the internet about how to become a better writer. Now I'll go into my videos. So these are a few of the videos or the ideas, or essentially the system that I have to keep track of how I go about publishing YouTube videos. So I have these many videos published. All of the other things are just ideas right now, which are pretty unfleshed, but Notion was one of them, and sort of it's work in progress right now, but it's not over here. But yeah, that's something that I did have. Then I have a feedback document for all the feedback that my friends, family, and other people share, and that's something that I also keep track of. So now let me talk about my Knowledge Hub. Knowledge Hub is essentially, as I talked about, a pretentious name for all the things that I've stored, all the pieces of content that I've consumed. So let me go over here. So this is Knowledge Hub. I have my type of content over here. So article, TV series, listicle, notes, etc., etc. I have my pages over here, the category that the thing belongs to, the reference about who actually referenced the source to me, the author of the particular article, video, or so on and so forth, the link, and I guess, yeah, that's pretty much it. This entire thing has allowed me to really categorize and sort things in a very structured way, something that I think would be extremely useful in the long run, especially when I'm recommending things, books, or ideas to my friends and family. And I guess Notion is essentially the reason I've been able to do that. Then I also have my commonplace book, and commonplace book is essentially just an archaic term that which essentially means that it's a central resource or depository for ideas, quotes, or anecdotes, something that people in the early times would keep. And essentially, striking quotes is something that anything that strikes me, I would just sort of file it over here instantly. And any words that strike me, so it's the book of wisdom which I have, which is like any life-changing advice that really helped me think about things in a different way. All of that would go over there. So all of that would come under resources. Then there's obviously the lessons page, which I've talked about in my daily weekly journals part, in which I would take literally anything from podcast notes to my own lessons from my mentors and other people. And I guess that's extremely useful. That is for the lessons, and the archives is anything that's inactive from projects, areas, or resources. So yeah, I guess this is pretty much how I use Notion. I really hope this video was helpful. If you found it helpful, please feel free to share any feedback with me. I would really love to learn and really love to improve my workflow and my productivity sort of system. And I hope that this was also useful to you. Thank you. Thanks for watching.